Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 6 of Freedom India Mutual Fund Presents Live Main Command Adjust Adapt. This has been a series of high-powered panel discussions where we unravel many of the success mantras for the new normal in a post-COVID world. We've looked at various issues from leadership to what needs to be done. Today, we're going to look a little bit in the future. India at 2030. Yes, this pandemic has struck us, but 10 years later, will India have recovered? Will India be a global power? Will India have solved many of the issues that we are dealing with so much? So that's what we're going to try and address. I'm Vikram Chandra, founder of Editorji, and we're going to be looking at India at 2030, ready to break out. What is it that India needs to do to be a leader 10 years? But before we get into a discussion with our very special panel, let me go across to Arvind Panagariya, who is, of course, teaching at Columbia University, but has been the vice chairman of Niti Aayog, so really understands the shape of the Indian economy and what needs to be done next. So I was reading some of your writings recently where you said some of the big reforms that India has been waiting for a long time, you seem to feel has actually been pushed through in the last 2 or 3 years, setting the stage for sharp growth ahead. What would you include in that basket?
So a number of things have happened, even if I mean, obviously the basket has to include everything that Narasimha Rao did all the way to what Prime Minister Modi has done. But I'll count only the ones that have happened under Prime Minister Modi, and that is the IBC, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. I'll include the GST. Very important, knockdown of the corporate profit tax to 17% for new manufacturing firms and 25% for the rest. Then we got the labor codes, big thing. I've been writing for 20 years. Finally, it has happened. Agriculture reforms, all three of them taken together. Very, very big. In fact, even my India Unlimited, you'll see that somewhere I say that I'm saying these things need to be done, though I don't expect that they will be done, but they have happened. Also, I'll plug in my kind of reforms on medical education. Those are also big. We may not see them in the context of the market reforms, but this medical education reform was a very, very tough one, which got done as well. Now, there are two which are already on the anvil. I didn't mention higher education absolutely needs to be done, but that is on the table already. And privatization of many public sector enterprises, both are there on the table. So I expect that these will happen.
You correctly said that a lot of the reforms and other measures that are required right now are at the state level. Are you somewhat concerned that GST, while it marked in a sense the high point of federalism where everyone came together and they agreed to push through reforms, now there seems to be a slightly more confrontationist attitude, or confrontation seems to be building up between states and the center. Look at the way the farm bills were pushed through. Now you're having states saying, okay, we're going to have our own bills that are going to roll back the farm bill. Do you think some of this, if it starts to spread, could negate a lot of those reforms and other steps that you were talking about?
Look, these small bumps always come in when these issues of state versus center come into play. On the farm bills, look, it's not as though no discussion had been happening. For 20 years, we had been discussing it. Look up the Congress's manifesto itself from 2019. Verbatim, you will find all three reforms stated there. I mean, in very, very clear language, actually. I mean, it's almost as though these laws actually lifted the language from the Congress manifesto 2019. So, I think some of it is really political. Some of it has to do with the management. Those who are involved have to manage relationships with the states better. But personally, I'm not in that sense worried. I think I'd like to see the competitive side of the federalism also come into play, whereby at least 3 or 4 forward-looking states come in and say, well, we are going to take the labor reform further. We are going to do the land market reform on our own. And all you need is 2 or 3 states. Remember that industry doesn't have to locate in all 29 states. Or all 28 states, as long as we can have good laws, good regime in 2 or 3 of the states, I think that will get us very, very far.
And then the competitive pressures will build up. The other states will say, well, we're losing out, so we have to catch up with the others.
Absolutely. And that has happened. We have seen that happen in the past. I mean, labor law, Rajasthan started, and look, already 16 states had done this. So center kind of generalized it to the remaining 12, but 16 states had already done it. At least
Right,
that's one
but
particular big reform.